Hello there, guys, and welcome to the Chapter 1 Lesson 4 Notes video. Now we're talking about one-to-one and onto functions. So just real quick, when last we left off, we were talking about domain and range of functions, which definitely is necessary for knowing one-to-one and onto functions. But what I just want to show you real quick is I finished up with our notes and then showed you what the homework was, right? And so this was the homework. And I showed you I got to this point and I plugged in number 8 into my Desmos graphing calculator, right? And showed you that you could use that if you don't have a graphing calculator available. Um, After that, so the bottom right corner right here says 1-3 homework. Notice these next pages don't have anything in their bottom right corner. This is a review of how to do domain and range. So your day two, or yes, your day 2 of lesson 3 is this. Here's the notes that you can read through on your own if you so choose. They are extremely similar to the notes that I just went over in the video, but they're a second look through from another perspective. I did not write these notes. I took these from somewhere else. So it's another person kind of going through and saying this stuff. And this is your day 2 homework. So lesson 3, day 2 is matching. So here are a bunch of domains and ranges and function or not a function. And these are, there's another bunch. These are the matching pictures. So you're using graphs A through L for questions 1 through 12. And you're using graphs M through X for questions 1 through 20, or excuse me, 13 through 24. Okay. So those will match up. These are some matching things. Um, I would say feel free to cut them out, but no, don't do that because that'll cut up your whole packet. These are back to back anyway. So you can see, match these guys up. If I were you, what I'd do is I'd look at this page with this page at the same time. So if you just open and look that way, you can do it. And then the other, the opposite. This one, M through X. Okay, so the ones you want to use are not back to back. So that's at least good, right? They're not on each other's backs. So I just wanted to go over that real quick because there's no video for the second day. It's on your own matching. Alrighty. So lesson 4, quick domain and range recap, right? The domain is the X values being used. The range is the Y values being used. So if you're looking at this as a mapping form of domain and range, right? This is a function because there's only one line coming off each of the X values. So I can tell already that this is a function. The points that this function is referencing is 1, 3, 3, 7, 5, 11. So you can see these points, right? This is not a function, so mapping, but look, 3 is used twice. 3, 1, 3, 4. Those are points, which means a 3, an X value is repeated. That can't be a function. Okay, and so that's just a real quick kind of recap of what things like that look like. Now, one-to-one functions. Notice I said one-to-one functions. So they have to be a function in the first place. So if you have a circle, it can't be one-to-one because it's not a function. All right. So this is a one-to-one function because it's passing the vertical line test and it's going to pass the horizontal line test. This is a one-to-one function right here. This is not a one-to-one function over here. It is passing the vertical line test. It will not pass a horizontal line test. One-to-one functions have one X for one Y and one Y for one X. Y values aren't repeated either. So for one-to-one functions, you don't repeat Y values or X values. So they're already functions. No X value is being repeated, but they also do not have a Y value repeated. So we can see that right here. Okay, so I'm just using some examples from these functions. You can see In this case, y values are repeated, y values are repeated, y values are repeated. And so since there's y values repeated, this guy's not one to one. One to one, not one to one. It really is that simple. So here they're showing you the lines for the horizontal line test too. So this is a function and one to one. This is a function and not one to one. Okay. Onto is funky, but I'll show it to you, right? Onto is, oh, that's one to one again. I'm sorry. Look, right. This is one to one, 1x for 1y. Ah, two y's, not one to one. Onto is funky. And the reason I say that is because onto requires your entire range be used. So onto requires you even know the range in the first place. All right. If you're talking about on a graph, you assume that your range is everything there. Okay. So you would call things one to one. How about onto? You would call things onto, right? All right. So that's onto because I'm covering the whole range. I'm going in both directions. Over here, where I'm picking specific domains, notice there are range values not being used. If you can see that there are range values not being used, it is not onto. Okay. If you can see that there are specific range values that you should be using and you're not, that is not onto. Most of our graphs are one to one and onto. Okay. Most of our graphs are one to one and onto. One to one and onto. Not onto and not one to one. Why isn't it onto? All these range values down here are not being used. Okay. Not one to one because it's not passing the horizontal line test either, right? It's got to pass both if you want it to be one to one. All right, practice. Here we go. Heads up, this arrow is 2, this arrow is 3. So this is going to be one to one and onto, right? So our domain and these are going to be really nice and easy because it's letters, right? So typewriter. Here we go. Nope. I actually want to type. Thank you. A, B, C, D, E. Oh, that's my domain. My range is 1, 2, 3. So when you have a situation like this where they actually are just listing things, you just list things. So I just listed. Now I'm just going to circle. Ah, no. Yikes. Thank you. Now I'm just going to circle. Line color. Oh, let's see. What do we want? I'm going for this. I'm wearing it. We might as well go for it. Okay. Is this a function? Yes. Got a function. I say that because no x values were used more than once. There's not a line coming from one of my front values more than once. Is it one to one? Yes, it is. No y values are repeated either. Is it onto? Yes, it is. All of my range is used. So this is a function that's one to one and onto. Cool. Ah, this is great. I'm not going to do both. I'm just going to type here because again, this one's nice and easy, right? What's the domain? All real numbers. What's the range? All real numbers. Fantastic. Okay, let's circle. Line color. Why am I getting in my own way? There we go. Yeah, that's function. No x values being used. Yeah, that's one to one. Passes the horizontal line test as well as the vertical line test. And yeah, that's going to be onto because it's using the entire range. Cool. So far, so good. All right. Let's see. Given the graph to the right, answer the questions about the set of values. Oh boy. Well, your domain is going to be all real numbers because all your x values are being used to infinity in both directions. But your range stops down there at, oops, so I'm going to need my math type down here. Oh, snot, where's my equatio? Hold on. There it is. There it went. Okay, so my range is y has to be greater than or equal to -4. There we go. Okay, let's see. Is this a function? Yes, it is. Is it one-to-one? No, it is not. It is not also passing the horizontal line test. And is it onto? No, it is not, because it is not using the whole range, which is all real numbers. So if your range on a graph like this is not all real numbers, then it is not onto. So there you have it. So we just added that extra layer. So on your homework, which of course starts right here, you're just looking at, oh boy, some sets of points. So when you've got a list of points like on 1, 2, 3, 4, you can just list the domain and range. You don't have to write them as inequalities or intervals because you know the exact values. So just list them out as the domain and the range, the exact values, right? When you've got a graph, that's when you'll want to use the inequalities and the interval notations. Okay. Maps, again, just list them out because they're listed out for you in the maps. Here's where you wouldn't want to do that, but that's evaluating anyway. Here's where you definitely don't want to do that. You want to do your inequalities or your interval notations. Here, okay, so when you're doing your domain here, remember that here is your start point, here is your stop point. That's just a betweeny inequality. Same with your range. Here is your low, here is your high. That's just a betweeny inequality. Okay, so when you're getting to that. And that's the end of the 1-4 homework. I just want to show you. Then we're going to have a review. Okay, so I'll probably do a review video because there are a few things that I could say here to just kind of remind you, even though that homework that you're about to do puts it all together in one. But I'll go through a review video. I just want to show you there are some notes. And then some notes that go through a bunch of examples. Okay. And then there's an actual review homework. So for the notes for the video, I'll go through all those examples above. Then you'll be responsible for continuing to practice getting ready for your Delta Math quiz. Okay, so I will have a video explaining to you how to sign up for Delta Math and get into that. And then we'll have a video for the review. Okay, and then that will be one of the things that you're responsible for this week is the Delta Math quiz. So yeah, we got that going on. Okay, peeps, this is the chapter 1, lesson 4. Okay. Chapter 1, lesson 4 notes. Oh, okay. Any of these things that I'm doing, you need to be writing down in your packet that you physically have. Of course, I will have a physical packet under my document camera at some point soon, but this is working out pretty well for me because then I get to keep this. So, yeah. Okay. I shall be seeing you. Have a wonderful whatever it is for you morning, afternoon, evening.